All right, so I'm going to cover the topic of lust. This is specifically towards young men, say from your 20s and or 30s, and I'm just going to go off of my own testimony. So this really spoke to me yesterday as I was interacting with two older men, and I know one individual is nobody's perfect. We all have a sin that we just enjoy, and no matter what. And I can say that I struggle with lust in terms of because of my past, and after being in Florida and interacting with a wonderful woman, I don't want to lower myself. So I'll just share. So I get it, first of all, to the guys that are in their 20s and 30s that are sleeping around, with all types of girls and just having variety. I understand that. However, it's not the responsible thing to do long term because, for example, one, you are creating a risk for yourself to create children, even though if you may be using protection. I mean, I'm in my 30s and I have a lot of safe alternatives with a partner if I had a physical partner that people don't discuss. And this is going to go on like Facebook and IG, so I'm not going to have that conversation. That's going to go on a different platform. So, but that's an important thing because one thing that needs to be recognized is that there's a growing number of single moms out there. And we as men have to take a responsible stance on this. And I mean, I recommend that you try your best to, get a woman in a relationship or minimize it to two partners. But just don't mess around, F around, because long term, just think of karma, bro. Let's say there's 10 people you're messing around with in 1 year. Next year you might run into one of those and for some kind of opportunity, but because of what you did to somebody in the past, it comes full circles and now it bites you in the ass. So lust is a very powerful thing that's easy for guys to be manipulated by, because eventually, guys, in your 20s, when you get to such a level, say in your 30s or 40s, you become attractive and a magnet towards women because of focusing on your mission, focusing on your goal. Because a woman is, according to the Bible, for example, the helper, meaning you have your mission, that can be a business, that can be a skill that takes you to whatever career or life that you're pursuing, goal, and she's there to supplement you, to enhance you. And essentially, deep down at the core level, they want a eligible candidate, say in case you guys produce an offspring, and so that you can protect and provide for her. So this is the difference biologically speaking. So from a man's standpoint, our biological, natural part, this is the physical, is to produce as many, spread our seed, essentially. So that's like to have sex with a lot of different women, so that our sperm, our genetics can survive on this planet. That's like the man, natural, biological sense. On a spiritual level, because remember, there's mind, body, spirit. Our divine essence, our divine being, the divine being within us, aside from the human being, as what we are now, wants us to either be focused on God and or one partner, a lifelong partner. So one example that I understand where some people are like, oh no, like why? As to not turning to just one partner, or because that's also difficult, is because it takes a lot of work, say, to really allow yourself to be vulnerable with another person and really get to know someone on a deep level. I, for example, had the pleasure of meeting a wonderful woman, older than me, less than 20 years, more than 15 years older. And I've never met someone more beautiful mentally, emotionally, physically, spiritually. And it was like only a year long, but at the same time, she just changed my autobiography. It's like, this was like the first woman I was like, I want to marry this woman. And with that being said, it's because I felt for the first time for a woman, unconditional love. The most similar thing to God's love, Jesus' love, and say how the love a mother has towards her children. Those are the two, like my mother, how she loves me. You should love me no matter what. There's a lot of guys and girls that can relate to their own mother with that love. Or same thing with their father. Say the father and the daughter, because the father and the daughter relationship is a more relatable example of unconditional love. So Jesus' love, a mother's love. So I've had that experience with a woman, towards a woman, for a woman, where I would essentially die for her without thought, without hesitation. And guys, especially in your 20s and your 30s, if you're messing around with, all these types of girls, when you really like feel love for a person and you try to allow yourself to be vulnerable and really get to know them on a deep level and want to get them to get to know you on a deep level, and if it becomes mutual where you guys grow, I'm telling you, you're gonna grow as a person mentally, emotionally, spiritually, and it's gonna wisen you up. It's gonna mature you, and that's for the young bucks out there that want that maturity, because I'm telling you, man, when you have a relationship like that with a woman, and God forbid, after you've had a relationship like that, that's like, now you want to be bachelor material, husband material, you don't want to go back. Because essentially it's like having prime steak. And I had prime steak with this woman in a Longhorn House. Beautiful. It's orgasmic to the mouth. It's like once you have prime steak, you can't go back, or you don't want to go back, because that's like the best quality of meat, the best quality of a woman. And that's an example of why, for me, I have to practice to be more disciplined, to not engage in lustful activity, and to delay that gratification. Because when you practice to discipline yourself, say around women, around lustful activities, and focus on other things, eventually it's going to attract women to want to be in things that you're about, because you're heavily focused on something that's greater than you, that's outside of you. And if you turn to women, it's like eventually you're basically chasing and or needing women instead of them needing you, which is how it's supposed to be. Because on a fundamental level, say on a survival standpoint, say we're out in the jungle or there's a war, like the man, the woman is more fearful of being by herself than the man, because the man can protect himself. You know, we as men, we're supposed to, you know, have strong bodies, practice some kind of fighting style for self-protection, preservation. A woman is there to, for example, nurture you as the man, nurture the children, and stay somewhere safe, like the home. Hence why they want a big home or a home to feel safe. And if anything, they feel in danger, they grab a weapon. And you know, fellas. So, yeah, this is just a reminder, man. I advise you guys that are just messing around with all these different type of girls. You're increasing your risk to produce. And if you're not looking to produce children, then reduce the amount of partners you're having sex with. Narrow it to 1 or 2, whatever. You know, I would say try 2 to start, or just 1. And really try to, you know, stay committed, because there's nothing more attractive than a committed man. I mean, think of it as women that see a married man with a ring. Most women, or many women, want a married man secretly, whether they know it or not. And when they see a married man doing his shit, they want that man. So even married men have to be careful. Not a single man, you know, because a married man is going to be usually more established than a single male, because he's already got a partner. And women who see men with other women see that as testimony, as, oh, this is a quality man, or they get curious as to what's up with this man, that he's with these beautiful women. And that's like I don't know if it's a biological thing where where women are attracted to, yeah, because it's I've got to slow down. So here's another way of reminding you the biological differences between men and women. Men, it's like we just want to, for example, sleep with as many women as we can to spread our seed. And women want a qualified, eligible man so that they can be protected and provided for, especially for when they have a child together. And hence why they're looking for high quality men. That's why there's this, when you hear most women, especially if they're not with God, they just like, I want a man who has $200,000, $300,000 and pays for my shit, pays for my clothes, get my nails done. These are non-humble women. Be careful, guys. If you want a better quality woman, my suggestion is start seeking God, learning about Jesus and or some other religion, and meet godly women. Meet women that do not reject God, that want God in their lives. Because if you're trying to go for a goddess, this is a woman trying to become her own god, and essentially she's going to use you, abuse you for her own gain, benefit, and advantage. This is, for example, the Jezebel spirit. Be very careful. This is also why, as a man who is into lust, may not be aware that they're being manipulated and or deceived by the Jezebel spirit. It could be within them, it can be around them. And that can be a spiritual bond that you need to remove yourself from. So guys, I'm gonna leave it at that. There's a lot I can say about this. I can do this conversation for an hour, but each person is different, and I'm basically generalizing a few things in order to get like a more condensed message, because yeah, the attention span of people is not that long nowadays. So have a blessed day, and take care.